don't know if you can see a picture over here. And welcome to the Star Trek Online panel. Introduce everybody who's sitting up here with me. This is Noah of Robot Cats. We got the community manager for Star Trek Online, Mike Bainham. And I'm going to need you guys to cheer a little louder for Thomas here. Associate Art Director at Star Trek Online, and he just had some ships become canon in Star Trek Picard.
You should start calling him Thomas Cannon Rooney.
I don't have cool photos.
You do! She announced you with the wrong
there we go.
order.
There you are.
Wonderful.
Can we hear you guys with your masks?
Yeah.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, we're good.
Slightly muffled, I was just checking. But yeah, welcome. We're going to have a great chat today about the new storyline, which is called Stormfall, which is such a video game name. But yeah, first we're going to talk a little bit about what's new and what's happening next. You just saw the cool trailer. Here we go, May 10th for Stormfall drop. Janeway will, of course, be in it once again. And then, of course, Noah's going to be in it.
Of course. I'm actually playing myself in it. It's very
You've just come out of the computer and it's just there streaming the game. It's a really interesting meta storyline.
Yeah, I'm really afraid because I still don't know how to build a ship properly.
Pro.
I'm sure people in this very audience can help you with that.
So they have. Yeah, I'm super excited. I haven't recorded yet, but it's just so much fun to be playing this game for I think I went 6 or 8 months now, and maybe like a third of the way through the actual story arc, and get to be a part of the story is very, very exciting.
You won't.
You will not screw it up.
Yeah, if I do, they'll just re-record the line, so it'll be
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'll just double
Maybe you look
myself.
good.
Exactly.
But so I think there's also an update to the tutorial. Janeway is voicing that.
Casual about that.
Looks like Janeway's going to come in and do it again, which I think will be a really fun to play through. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, so what Amy was talking about is we're completely remastering the Federation tutorial, the 2409 Federation tutorial. So Janeway's a part of that now, and when Stormfall drops, you all can start new Federation characters, and finally our core Federation experience will be up to snuff with everything else in the game. 10 years old.
Yeah, but we can talk a little bit about that and about Thomas. Did you design the Starship Voyager you just saw on the screen?
So we're working with the ship artist Tobias Richter. He's the one who did the Voyager for us. We did that for Legacy, right? Yeah, that was Legacy. The 10th anniversary update, we remastered a lot of the hero ships in the game, including Voyager. And so Janeway's ship is looking good. She looks good when she comes to save your butt in the new tutorial. But I also wanted to call out, he's not here, but Nick DeGood, one of our environment artists, did an amazing job with all the new Starfleet interiors that you see. You've seen that, a lot of those rooms and stuff in the new mirror content, but they're also going to be good use in the tutorial, including, I think you saw the new engineering set, which we're really proud of. There's a new bridge, which Nick has been streaming his work on, so there's a lot of great new stuff coming in that tutorial remaster. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it looks great. I think you're also going to see Mirror Janeway.
Not in the tutorial.
Not in the tutorial, but there's a Mirror Voyager is where I was going with
Yeah.
So that's cool. You can see the mirror ship with the ISS. So when the ship you're on, when Janeway comes to get you, is the Miranda class training ship?
Yeah, in that footage we're using the Reliant just kind of as a nod to the fact that the Reliant was one of the ships that became canon in season 2, episode 1 of Star Trek Picard. group in the gaming area, we have we made new Starship patches for the Reliant, so we're giving those out for free, first come, first serve. And actually, we might have some here.
I think we do actually, yeah.
In your bag, but
Yeah.
but we're excited about that. But in the tutorial, you will also you'll be flying the regular Miranda, and then we'll talk about this a little later. But we have also remastered the Vesta, which makes kind of a guest appearance in the tutorial as well. So I'm excited about that as a ship geek, and I know the Vesta is a really popular starship for people who've been playing the game for a while.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, Noah, you're gonna voice a new Andorian character.
A new Andorian character. Very excited. I came up with the name with Al Rivera, whatever. What's his job title? And honcho?
It's
Design director.
Design director. That's
Yeah. It's called Ray Heat, which is named after my mom, Ray, and also my Star Trek Online character, which on the very first time I played, I did the random name generator and it just said Yeet. So I just called it Ray Yeet, and that'll be the name. What can you tell me about it? Because I haven't read the script yet.
Yes, I think you are a rebel against the Terran Empire.
Good. Okay, that sounds good. Time to kick some Terran ass.
There you go. And I think you're gonna team up with Terran Janeway and Terran Lita.
Amazing. I'm intimidated by both of them, both in the
That
game
sounds
and in
about right.
real life,
Yeah.
so that'll be really fun.
And we'll also be seeing the planet Pavo again, but on the mirror side.
Yeah.
So you saw a little bit of that in the trailer we showed earlier. It's Pavo, of course, in the mirror universe, rather than being the vibrant, wonderful planet that we see in the prime timeline, is a desolate, horrifying place that the Terran Empire has been mining and abusing for years and years, and that Raid is trying to protect. So you're sort of like an eco warrior.
I am an eco warrior. I'm an eco terrorist, just like I've always wanted to be. Yeah, we record the lines, I think, in April soon, very soon.
Very soon, yeah.
So I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to hear the script. I'm excited to get into the booth and record them. And I'm very excited to improvise the whole time. And not listen to what Al or Mike tells me to do. It's very
You won't
exciting.
make anybody crazy. But yeah,
it's
what
gonna be
is?
fun too. Like, so how is it? You know, 'cause you haven't done it yet, so obviously.
Haven't done it yet.
But if you're approaching playing a different character in the Star Trek universe,
Mhm.
how are you approaching taking that and making it, you know, different enough from Rin that it's a new character but still recognizable as you?
Maybe I'll just do it really high like that. I don't know.
No, no.
It'll depend. You know, I didn't have any, I don't have any writing credits on it, so I just am going to interpret the art as it's given to me and sort of let my heart take me there, which probably means I'll just get there in there and just like talk regular.
Yeah, that sounds
And then
good.
they'll be like, yeah, that's good enough. And then it'll kind of be up to, you know, how you guys design the character, the look and the feel and all that stuff. So I think it will be a group effort, creating a new, unique, homage kind of character that I'm really, really excited about. And I'm excited to maybe get to blow my own head off in the game.
I think you stay a good guy the whole time.
We'll see. I don't
We'll see.
know.
You never know.
If
You can
I
always,
don't-
you can always call Al tomorrow. I'm
Right.
gonna kill myself.
And if I don't record the lines, you know,
Yeah.
then I can be a bad guy. You just have to blow me up.
Well, Noah, I wanted to ask you a little bit of a different challenge to do voice work. You know, how do you approach that versus being on camera?
It's definitely different because you don't really have a scene partner. A lot of times you don't even have the other character's lines, so you're just sort of recording your lines in a vacuum. So you're just like, you know, the ship's under attack. Oh no! And you're like, well, what's going on? So you just have to kind of give it as much energy and oomph as you can. And it's also different because, you know, your face isn't on camera, so you don't really have to worry about, you know, if you're facing the right way, if you're looking at the right things, so you can kind of just have a little bit more fun with how over the top you can be and really focus on making the lines pop and less about how unrealistic your facial expressions are, which is very
Yes.
good for me.
That's great. Yeah, Kate, I didn't mention it in my intro, but I'm Kate Mulder's media director, and I helped bring her into Star Trek Online, which I'm very proud of.
Thank you, Amy.
And then, these guys helped out tremendously. Thomas put me in touch with Al, and that's how that ball got started rolling. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about when you're, I know when Kate's in the voice booth, you know, she gets in the mirror Janeway, so she kind of gives it a little bit of a rougher intonation, like a little more of a, not as polite, not as Starfleet, you know. So if you're playing your new character, you're gonna make him be a little bit more. If he's a rebel, he's probably a little more confident, a little more, a little louder than the guy you played on Discovery.
Yeah, maybe he'll just say ass all the time. I don't know. Yeah,
That's how your wife got us a T-rating.
exactly. I don't know. Yeah, I think he'll have to kind of have that mirror universe ethos of, you know, always fighting for survival, and you know, maybe he'll be a bit more of a badass too. Maybe I'll give him kind of a badass thing and see if he can have a cigarette the whole time.
A little gravel,
Yeah, exactly.
voice, you know.
Exactly,
Maybe
yeah.
he breathed in too much dust when Mirror Papa was being mined.
Yeah.
You know?
Or maybe he was just playing soccer and he hurt his ankle, and so he's always like, ow, oh,
It's gotta be
ow.
interesting to think about being a good person in the mirror universe. Like, what must it have been like to be any of those people growing up and like trying to fit into that crazy society?
Definitely. It's probably a bad life, and I'm glad I don't live it. And maybe he is deep down, maybe he's a really bad person, and everybody else is just worse than him.
That's true.
Kind of like me.
Well, I do want to say that something that is cool about the mirror universe in Star Trek Online in the 25th century is and this is something STO was really great at, is we're tying together different threads of Star Trek, right? So you have the Discovery, the Mirror Coalition Discovery that has Andorians and Vulcans and things like that, and that's sort of inspired by Enterprise. But then you also have the Mirror Alliance of Klingons and Cardassians from Deep Space Nine, and so we're actually tying with this, with the coalition the Raid is leading. We're tying those two threads together. So now you've got the Cardassians and the Klingons and the Andorians and Vulcans are all working together in this bigger mirror coalition that's inspired by these two versions of the mirror universe. So I think that's pretty cool.
More people for me to betray.
Exactly.
Yeah, that does sound really interesting. I love that alliance of the different species. And that's the great thing about STO is that you can go in and kind of expand the storytelling and expand what we see on the screen. And I think that's, you know, the reason why everybody's so excited to play. And just get to even just expanding what we've seen. I mean, we've seen very little of Janeway in a post-Picard era. You know, we've seen a little bit from Prodigy, so it's really good to be able to see Admiral Janeway.
It's great.
And I know she's an admiral now, but she still refers to herself as the captain.
It's funny because I told you this story before, but Kate came in and we had so much dialogue for her because we were having her do the Federation tutorial, we were having to do 2 episodes, and so the team was really worried, like maybe we won't all get this done, maybe we'll have to, you know, get her to come back, and Kate just knocked it completely out of the park, like done in like 2 hours,
Yep.
had command of the room the entire time.
She's a
Everyone was just yes
professional.
ma'am, no ma'am.
I'm gonna get bullied in the room. That's what
no
I'm
question.
Yeah, because we know you were
Yeah. Oh, she's eminently prepared and ready to. I mean, but she also had just been recording Janeway with Prodigy, so she was kind of in that stride
Yeah.
already. But I think, yeah, I'm excited to see more of her storylines
Yeah.
as we go. And I mean, I love that image. I love the Terran Janeway. I showed her the picture with the hair. She was look at my arms. Look at my hair.
I don't know if we did this on purpose or if it's just because of the way the cutoff uniforms make you look, but her and Killy, it just looks like they spend all day in the gym.
All day.
Like just
So yeah, that's great. And I feel like I said, the character design is just, and Tilly looks wonderful, as I'm sure that you have appreciated.
Absolutely.
I've seen you play through your streaming. Do you have like a part that you're looking forward to? Maybe like new ships, new missions, things you've done already that really stood out to you?
You know, I always feel like everybody who comes and like hangs out with me on the stream like knows what's gonna happen, so they are sort of like watch out for this, and I'm like, it'll be fine. And then some huge reveal happens, and then everybody gets to laugh at me for not really understanding.
what's the name of that doctor you were in love with?
Oh God, Eric Cooper.
Eric Cooper.
And I really loved him. I felt like he was relatable. He was like, I'm not really comfortable with what's going on.
I love that you related that much to the biggest jerk in that entire
I didn't believe anyone. Everyone was like, you know, he sucks. I hate him. How could he do this? And I was like, no, he's gonna come around. He's gonna be my friend. And he betrayed me just like everybody else. I'm still pretty pissed off about it. I'm angry at you guys, honestly.
Of course, yeah, it's our fault.
Yeah.
Actually, that character didn't exist until you started streaming.
You built it for me. Thank you so much. Oh, I turned this off.
Do you have a fave location? Like I think we talked with Dr. Erin McDonald and she was like, where shall I sit in Quarks? Where is my favorite bar stool in Quarks? Like, do you have a cool spot from the show that you like to visit in the game?
I feel like early on we did a tour of the disco bridge, which was very fun because I could be like, well, here's actually where the plank is, and this is what happens when you press the button. So that was really fun to get to relive that. I'm still intimidated by Deep Space Nine. I haven't walked around too much because I feel like I just will move in and just live there forever. It will be my metaverse, and I'll just hang out there.
I don't blame you. I would love to walk the promenade.
We actually have a player who has done that. He wants us to let him play a chain flight, and he's been camped out in protest for something like 3 years.
He's camped out.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that tracks for the fan base. That's good. I like that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like also just getting to see all the different planets from afar and feel like you can kind of blow them up is really fun. Just feeling like you can is great.
You have the option, but you are benevolent and choose to leave.
No, you don't have the option because I would blow them up.
We get it. All right, I'm just kidding. But I did want to ask Thomas to talk a little bit about the ships he has in Picard and the transition they made from the game because that's a big deal for you guys, and I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. Yeah, so we ended up getting 4 canon ships in Picard. For anybody, I mean, presumably most of you know this, but just we use the term canon to mean something that shows up on screen, so in an actual Star Trek movie or TV show. And so that's kind of a special status something has, which means that it's real, it's Star Trek real, right? So usually things that are made up in comics or games or books, they kind of have a separate status of what you might call beta canon or licensed work or whatever. So to have something that starts out in the Star Trek video game land of Star Trek Online, and then goes from that to be canonized by an appearance in a show is pretty incredible and very, very rare for a licensed work to do that, especially in Star Trek. There have been a couple examples. The Titan is kind of the biggest other example I can think of. It showed up in Lower Decks, the ship designed by Sean Torrenjo as Riker's starship. But other than that, it's very rare. Usually, it's just the stuff that shows up in the shows gets put into the comics and games and all that stuff, and we have to make it. But they had to make our things now.
And to be clear, they made those things canon because you and your team's work was absolutely freaking impeccable on that.
Yes, it was.
It definitely feels like a validation for us. We've been making Star Trek starships for 12 years, and so we've gotten pretty good at it. And I want to give credit to Hector Ortiz and Bonnie Rosaglia, Risa Tarina, and Ian Richards, the other people who worked on STO ships over the years. Especially Hector has designed a lot of ships for STO. This STO starship design language, a lot of it has come from his genius. He's our senior concept artist, and so he's the one who essentially starts with a blank canvas and okay, we have to make this ship. What is it going to look like? And Hector's the guy who kind of pioneers that for us, and then the ship artists are the ones who actually will build the model and everything. But it was really cool because we, the effects folks, when they started talking about this with Dave Blass, the production designer, they were really skeptical, and they were like, no, those game assets, we can't really use those are too low detailed. But when they sent over the actual models, they were pretty impressed, and they were like, hey, these are really good. We think we can use them for background shots and stuff. So they
ended up using our models for canon ships too, right? For a lot of them.
Yeah, well, all of them. I mean, those are our models. I think they did some. They might have added a little bit of detail or changed up the textures, but it is the stuff that I sent them is actually what ended up getting put into the shows. So
my favorite part of that is including the inquiry. The version of the inquiry from season 1 of Star Trek Picard that appeared on screen in season 2 is our version that we made.
Right. Yeah. So when we made the inquiry for Star Trek Online, we actually had to add detail to it because the canonical model was they didn't have a lot of time to put it together. So when we wanted to bring it into STO, there were a lot of details and stuff that were missing. So we went ahead and added thrusters and a lot of decals and things like that to bring it up to snuff with the rest of the ships in the game. And then they asked for that version to put it back in Picard. So now all the stuff we added has been recanonized.
Awesome. Well, you also have, you updated a lot of ships for this update to the game this new season. You have the ISS Voyager
Yeah.
and the Mirror Defiant.
Yeah. So
Do we have a slide of that? I think we
Yes.
do.
Right there.
You did, okay.
All right.
There it
I knew where you were going.
Yes, I have the car, put it on my phone so I can see who's coming. But I wanted to see, point it out on screen. You can just point out a couple things, Thomas, if you wanted to.
Yeah, so the Voyager, we'll start there. Eagle-eyed Voyager fans might recognize a lot of the bits that have been glued on the hull. This is actually inspired by Living Witness, which is a Voyager episode that takes place about 1,000 years in the future, which, trivia, so there's a chance the EMH could show up in Discovery, because the Living Witness takes place around that time, which I think is really funny. But anyway, so in Living Witness, the EMH gets reactivated 1,000 years in the future, and this culture that interacted with Voyager 1,000 years ago has this misperception of what Voyager was. And so they have a graphic of Voyager, but it's got a bunch of weapons glued onto it. It's kind of a Kibashi, like a warship Voyager, they call it. And so we thought it'd be fun to take that and bring it into the Mirror universe and make that the Mirror version of Voyager. So we took that Living Witness Voyager and then we added the Terran Empire decals to it. You can see the big red stripes on the hull.
Yep.
The Defiant is pretty much the same. The Mirror Defiant actually shows up in Deep Space Nine. Cisco gives the Terran rebels the plans for the Defiant, which I feel like is maybe not the right moral choice, but
It's Cisco.
He can live with it.
right, exactly. And so we just added the Terran decals to those, and then you have the ISS Enterprise F. Which it's a Lexington variant on the ship, so it's got that nice big mission pod with torpedoes and stuff. And then there's Kamarki's Somerville class ship, the Riscava.
The little baby one.
Yeah. Which is actually inspired by a ship from the IDW comics. We did, which was a cool flying saucer design. We brought that into STO.
Yeah, that was Anthony Rapp's ship that we brought into our game when we brought him in.
Yep.
Yeah. Just to jump back for 1 second, the other thing we wanted to talk about for Stormfall, there's I was going to say new, but it's not quite new. There's a new TFO coming. It's called
Task Force Operation.
Task Force Operation.
Yes, for those not in the know.
It's called Forged in Fire. You're all going to be bladesmiths. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. But it is a remaster of Assault on Terra Nor. So it's the old classic Assault on Terra Nor mission. It takes place during the same timeline that TFO originally took place. You're still going to fight Lita and the Pa Wraiths at the end, but now it's taking place inside the new Deep Space Nine map. So everything will look nice and canon. And there's all kinds of new effects and mechanics and things that are being added.
And we have Nick to thank for that also, for interiors.
What?
Nick
To thank for
Yes,
that.
we're streaming on Twitch, so if you're watching, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
I did want to say I play tested this recently, and it's really fun to run around the DS9 gunning down Terrans and Lita, because it's kind of a small map, right? So it's kind of a cramped close quarters and just feels really hectic and intense. So it's a cool TFO. I'm excited for you guys to play it.
And I heard about the new mechanics for the Lita fight, and it's very exciting. And that's all I can say about that.
So we're going to take some questions in just a minute, but before we do that, I think, Noah, we'd like to talk about Type 1.
Ooh, oh yeah.
Tell us a little about it. I know you had a great success with your Kickstarter.
We had an amazing
Wow.
Kickstarter campaign with the Trek community and the diabetes community and some of the D&D community and every community. It was just awesome. It's a story about a type 1 diabetic and his wife who go in search of insulin before it's too late. We're hoping, Mary Wiseman and I are in the leading roles, and Anthony Rapp is directing it, which is really exciting. We're hoping to shoot, we better be shooting, like May 12th in that area, and so we've been doing just a ton of pre-production and making some really key hires. We just brought on a hair and makeup person and an editor. We've locked our main location. We're hoping to lock a secondary location. It's a ton of work, but it's going really, really well, and we're super, super excited about it. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
So how long do you think it'll be? Like full length? Like, or like a
Between
documentary?
probably 8 and 10, 15 minutes. So like
Oh, it's short.
Yeah, it's pretty short, so that way it can kind of like stay within a short status for like festivals and
That's
stuff like that.
wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a lot, but it's super exciting, and there was like a reward on Kickstarter for all the stickers, and those are coming out, and I'm excited to see those, and the pins are getting fabricated, and all
And y'all
sorts of
funded
good
on the
stuff.
first day, right?
Yes, we
Yes.
finished funding on the first day, but we needed every other cent that came in. So
How much beyond your goal did you end up getting?
we went, I think, like 300% beyond the goal, which is amazing. And I just couldn't be more appreciative and more excited. And thank God we did.
Uh-huh.
Let's just say that.
Film is very expensive.
It turns out it's all really expensive, and it's nice to be able to kind of pay people also for
Yeah.
working, so that's really nice as well. But it's great, you know, it feels like a film that the community is building together, and even though we're gonna go off and shoot it, we definitely feel like, at least I feel like, you know, we couldn't do without everybody's help, and it is something that we're sort of all still building together, and you know, maybe I'll put it out there and take notes from everybody, and I'll change this and say
Do
it's
you
too
have a
late.
hashtag or some place we can follow that specific film, or just stick to following?
Yeah,
you
just
on
follow
Twitter?
me, because I'll just sort of slowly roll on up. You know, there's not really super exciting updates, you know. For me, it's exciting to hire a assistant director, but everyone's like, okay, can we
No,
just...
that's very exciting. That means that your work will get done.
Exactly. So, you know, slowly it will come out, and it will get built, and do festivals, and rewards will get redeemed, and all that good stuff. So,
Wonderful. So your Twitter handle, if you want to tell
it's
everybody.
N_A_K on Twitter, and then on Twitch I'm the Type 1 Trekkie. We have these cool things. Thank you, Frag. Yeah, you can just sort of keep up to date on all of that, including all the Star Trek Online stuff. as
Yes,
well.
that's where I follow. I mean, I see when you're like, I'm streaming soon. I'm like,
Yeah.
I get to watch. So,
You were
and
talking
Thomas
about-
has streamed his ship updates, and you get to watch him work. So you can also follow. So Thomas, where can we follow you?
Just Thomas the Cat on Twitter.
Thomas the Cat. And on Twitch, you just usually stream from the official. No, you stream from your own channel.
I have a channel. I'm not really active on it right now, but we have a Cryptic Studios Twitch channel that we do our 10th Word
We're
Weekly.
live on, right?
And Mike runs 10 Forward Weekly, which was a guest on, and you always seem to have somebody fabulous to chat with.
Oh
on
god,
there.
it's so great. Yeah, it's amazing. We whenever we get called in for like doing a media stream with somebody else, all of the Trek fans that normally from 10 Forward Weekly tend to show up, and they're always like, "There's so many more people in this stream than we normally have." So we love you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. I was going to ask though. You mentioned the D&D community, like coming and helping out. I know you sort of took the kind of home game you were running on the disco set and turned it into this thing, this Disco Does D&D thing. And you have a panel this weekend. You
Yes.
want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we have been
We
streaming
have our
disco.
list from panels up next if you want
Yeah.
to pop it out there.
Does D&D for almost 10 weeks now. It's me, Anthony Rapp, Blue Del Barrio, and Ian Alexander, and guests and fun.
Mary guessed sometimes. too.
Mary has guested before, Mayor Chifo and Mary Wiseman, and we've got some other fun guests coming up. Yeah, we have a panel
It's
on
not on this panel.
Sunday.
This is the Cryptic Pan,
Yeah.
Cryptic slate of programming for the rest of the weekend. But no one tell us where you're going to be this weekend where we can come see you.
I don't know.
And then we'll do a Q&A.
I don't know where we're gonna be. We're being
Okay.
some room or someplace, but it's on Sunday.
Your disco panel is soon.
I also don't know about that. I only care about the.
There's this lovely official convention application. I don't know if you've seen the
Yes,
site.
there's an app. There's an app for that.
Yeah, so it'll be super fun. We'll play D&D. It'll be me, Anthony, Mary,
That's a
Chiefo.
Sunday afternoon.
Bonnie's
Yes,
playing, right?
and Bonnie as
Yeah.
well, and
Nice.
Ian
It's
Snow.
the voice of the protostar from.
Yeah.
So that will be very fun. Come check that out as well.
Yep, and then these are the rest of the panels, and I'm also on the one on Sunday at 10:30
Yeah, tell us a little
a.m.
bit about the Sunday panel.
Yes, the Sunday panel. Well, there's only two of our names up there, but I am on it, and Lucy right here is on it, and so is Jara Hodge from Limited Warp. We're doing The Future is Female. We're going to be talking a lot about the ladies in Star Trek Online and who's voice characters for that. Plus, we'll just in general going to be discussing our favorite women of Trek and all of the tie-in things that have augmented their storytelling. It's more about storytelling, but how the women have changed and grown and given more agency in these tie-in products. So, and then I think Thomas's panel is tomorrow. Mark your calendar.
Yes, so we're going to do a Ships of Star Trek Online panel. We're going to talk more in depth about the ships that showed up on Picard, and we're also going to discuss kind of the design process of one of our newest ships that hasn't been released yet. So I'm really excited about that. If you're into ships,
don't miss it. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it, yeah.
Blow off Strange New World.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anderson will be on stage, but you can see his hotness anytime. So come to Thomas's panel. But and then later today, Mike, you're on another panel.
Yeah, I am.
Bonnie and Elisa.
Yeah, there's a expanding the universe through TTRPGs, which is all about tabletop role-playing games and like a bunch of wonderful game masters and players and things of that nature. So that'll be at 5:30 today. And then and we're having a meet and greet at the Striker Armada booth tomorrow at 2 p.m. So come and hang out with me and Thomas there. And of course, you can find us at our booth in the area.
Sort of booth. Sorry, guys.
I do want to say the sign for Striker Armada says Dark Mom Consortium. So if you're looking for it,
oh, my bad.
It's Dark Mom Consortium on that, but it's also your Twitch handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kay, I have not met Kay in person yet, so I did not recognize her face. Hello. She's going to be on our panel as well on Sunday, so that'll be fabulous. But yeah, let's have a little Q&A. We have exactly 10 minutes left, and I am pleased with our timing.
Yeah,
So who has questions? Bring them
it doesn't look
on.
like there's a question microphone, so yeah, just raise your hand.
Is there a
Give me
question
call.
microphone? Can you just yell?
Oh. There is a question microphone. Hold on.
Okay.
It looks like. Oh yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
So, but yeah. Q&A.
No.
I like this slide.
No, the answer is no.
Thank you very much.
Actually wasn't going to be my question.
I'm not going to be the mic. Well,
No.
I do the mic. It's okay. I can get moving around.
Noah, how's it feel to be playing an Andorian with antenna?
We don't know that he has antenna. I haven't seen the design yet. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to balance better in the game. Maybe people will take me seriously and won't laugh me off, or maybe they'll cut off my antenna and my fingers as well. I don't know.
I heard you requested a cutoff antenna.
That's not true.
Anybody else? Question? Oh, we got Kay down here.
So in the last 2 episodes, we've got to the Evil Mirror Us in Firewall and Redshift. Is there going to be more Evil Mirror Us?
There is. So it's not a huge secret to tell you guys. The first episode of Stormfall. So Redshift is the one you all just played?
Yes.
Okay, so the first episode of Stormfall is Blue Shift, which is the sort of semi-sequel to that episode. And you will be seeing your mirror self quite a bit in that episode.
It's hard to be the bad guy for a change.
By the way, I mean that actually getting that to work is a huge technical challenge. It's getting because you're replacing we call it a costume, but essentially the way your character looks. We're replacing that with the Terran Empire uniform, and then we're replacing all the powers that you have to be more evil versions, standardized versions of powers, and then we're also replacing your ship because you're commanding the ISS Defiant, right? And so getting all of that to work, and then even there's a really funny thing that we had to deal with in Redshift, where on the space map where you're flying the ISS Defiant, if you're in a team, we obviously don't want there to be 5 ISS Defiants, so we had to come up with a way to have each of those Defiant class ships have a different name, so that everybody on the team was like flying a different ship.
Defiant 1, Defiant 2.
Right. But that story is a great example of how everything in game development is like way more complicated than you think it would be, because there's just all these little things as you're doing that come up, like what about this, what about that, and you just have to keep solving those problems to make it work.
The initial cutscene where you saw your mirror self for the first time, I think about a week before launch, we discovered that if your character was wearing a helmet, in that cutscene you would have no head. And that was a mad scramble for our poor 2 programmers to track to fix.
Anybody else? Oh, you
Back there.
Thank you for being passing the
Yes,
mic
thanks,
amongst
folks,
yourselves.
for passing
Thank
us
you,
around.
Kay.
Well, speaking of those types of episodes where we play people other than ourselves, like Court 7, which people loved,
Oh, yeah.
or this and Kathy War Criminal episodes, a lot of people on Reddit had strong reactions to playing people who aren't them and doing stuff that isn't them. Have you seen a lot of that? Have any opinions? Do you want us to tell us all?
Are you telling me that people on Reddit have strong reactions?
I know.
That is shocking.
It's almost as if it's the place where people who aren't thinking go to share their thoughts.
No.
I'm sorry, I have to take my mask for this. I think that it's a storytelling element that we don't want to overuse because there's some bugs that have popped up from it. Everybody knows the pain in the butt it is to reset your traits if they accidentally get taken off while you're put into another ship. And we also want your story to be your story. We want Noah to be playing Yeet the whole time that he's playing our game. And so, like, we don't want you to feel like you're guest starring in somebody else's adventure. That's not what Star Trek Online is about. But it is fun to do sometimes when we can do something cool, like playing as Jula or playing as all the different Ferengi, or in the most recent episode, getting to play as your mirror self. So it's a fun way to tell a different story every now and then, but not something we want to do all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it does help that in this instance, it is still you, it's just a mirror universe version of you. So you still get to see the character you customized. The abilities are different, the ship is different, but
The voice is different.
The voice it actually is voiced, which is cool. But it still is, it's a fun take on your character. So I think that's a cool thing about it. Yeah,
First off, I just want to say I was super excited that you guys, one, got the USS Ross into Star Trek Online, and two, that it's now screen official.
Right.
So I'm so happy about that.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure you guys know about this. There was that bug on the console where once you got to like that floor and like it crashed the game.
Crashing over and over.
Yeah, but like there was one time where it just crashed and then it knocked me out and Killy was walking around with me, which was just kind of like, okay, this is not normal. But I was just wondering on that, and you were mentioning the headless bug. Have there been any bugs that have popped up where it's just like so bizarre that it was just hilarious?
I mean, this isn't the Cyberpunk
2077. There were some fun ones of that. My absolute favorite one is there was a bug a couple of years ago that if you equipped a goatee, your character would disappear. Just completely turn invisible. And that one I think made it live. It was live for a couple of days where the people would, if they tried to put a goatee on their character, they just vanished.
There's another one from the launch.
It's a cloaking goatee, obviously.
There's another one from the launch, like before SU actually launched, that where so when you pull out a tribble, the tribble kind of grows in your hands because you're pulling something out and just as an animation, and so it doesn't just sort of pop in there. It actually just grows a little bit to kind of simulate taking it out of your pocket or whatever. But whenever they initially hooked that up, they didn't turn off the part of the tribble growing. So every time you pet the tribble, that growing animation would play, and it would be additive. So every time you pet the tribble, it kept growing and growing and growing. Until it was like covering the whole screen. And so that's one of my favorites stories about bugs in STO.
That's awesome. A giant growing.
I know that guy back there raised his hand earlier. Okay.
We have time. We have time for like two more.
Yeah,
All right, hi, person from Reddit here.
It was
They found us. I don't know how, but they found us.
They found us. It's like we advertised where we would be.
We are everywhere. No, but seriously, with that, like overheads and everything, giving like a whole bunch of new cameras, well, semi-canon starship design. Obviously, the Packlets have kind of unique technology, unique feel that really does kind of fit with some of the customization options available within STM. So, any chance of like a Packlet class starship showing up at some point in the future?
I don't know, Tom. Is any class with Packlets still last started showing big company?
I mean, we haven't ruled it out. We talk about it every now and then. Actually, there's some technical challenges with the Packlet ship because all the different parts in the Packlet comp ships are like from different ships. That means they also have different materials. So if we did a Packlet ship, you probably wouldn't be able to swap out the material because we couldn't
Which
couldn't
means
swap.
no vanity shields is what he's saying.
Well, vanity shields will still work, but in the tailor, when you select what material the ship is using, we couldn't have it swap back to that like set of materials, right? Because if you've got Klingon, Romulan, Cardassian, and Pakled parts, all of those having a different material actually means that the way that the game swaps materials on the ship customization interface doesn't work. Because it actually, how it works behind the scenes is it checks, okay, all of these materials have the same, what we call display name or player-facing name, and then it will match, make sure all the parts have materials with the matching display names. But obviously, if you have a Cardassian, Romulan, Pakled set of materials, those names aren't going to match, you know. So it'll be a bit of a challenge. I mean, but you know, we haven't ruled it out. I mean, I think there's an appeal to flying something big and ugly.
Yeah, people fly the Oprahs all the time.
Oh my God, that's all I want to know.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We have time for one more question. Who is going to take us to the end of the panel?
I was over to Packlet ships, Path Jaeger 1.
Oh my God.
Jaeger?
You can't flip the table.
Thomas Hives? No.
So I've enjoyed immensely all those streams that, for some part, Thomas did, for some part, Nick is doing, and also a few years ago when you designed basically the summer ship on screen.
Yeah. That was so much fun.
To also see how Hector is working and things like that. Are we getting things like that again? And of course, the obligatory question, whale pro when?
Yes!
How did you do that?
Wilpro.
You threw your voice so well.
I will say that Al Rivera, our design director, is a big fan of Star Trek 4, and he's a big fan of marine wildlife in general. So I would like to think that someday we will do like a Wilpro story.
Wilpro's like 4 times the size of everything, right?
It's bigger. It dwarfs ESD.
Okay.
The Wilpro is actually an enormous object. So.
Maybe
Yeah.
Wilpro TFO.
Which apparently there was the LCARS so when they go to the Confederation evil feature in Picard, there's like an LCARS readout that discusses the Wilpro mission in the Confederation evil timeline. And apparently they did go back in time to get whales, but instead of putting them in the ocean, they shot the whales at the whale.
No!
Poor whales.
like my
But to
space
answer your
station,
actual
yeah.
question, yeah, we're hoping to do more streams like that. It's a voluntary thing between artists and designers, anybody who wants to do it. But we have now permission to show off like all of our tools and stuff like that. So if people want to do it, they're welcome to do it. I've been letting people know, and some people like Nick and Hector and Thomas have been interested, and I'm hoping more people will be interested in the future. But yeah, I think it's been fabulous. I think watching Hector design a starship is a bit like watching Bob Ross paint. It's just, it's
Happy
so
little
nice.
windows, happy little
Happy little phasers.
Yeah, Nick is doing that right now with the Yorktown. So just I think it's at Tumorboy, right? Is his
Yeah,
Twitter handle.
and we usually share and host it unless I'm
Yeah.
doing something else and forget.
TUMERBOY on Twitter. He'll announce when he's doing it, but he's working on the Yorktown Bridge right now. He's streaming a lot of that work.
It's really cool. The view screen is like dropped down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Well, we've hit our time.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's been wonderful being here with you, and I need you all to give these fabulous gentlemen a big round of applause.